Good afternoon. Welcome to the AMANI Project. My name is Nicole Inica Hamilton, and I've got to tell you, I am so overjoyed to be sitting down with all of you today. Guess what? We have another exceptional conversation coming up today because my day just got better. I'm going to be sitting down today with Timea Wharton-Suri as well as Ella Cooper. Welcome to the AMANI Project. So great to have this time with both of you. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, I've got to tell you, this is a conversation I've been looking forward to. It really is. Today, we're going to be talking about intergenerational wisdom. We're going to be talking about both of your organizations. And I have to say, before we begin, I'm always mindful of how historical conversations like this are because we are having the opportunity to archive this conversation, which will be a part of our history. So thank you again. It's lovely to share space with you both. So Timea Wharton-Suri, I am going to come to you as we start off. We are sitting here as part of the Amani Project conversation. And today we're going to hear a little bit about the organization from you. So please, if we can start with you, give us a brief introduction to the Amani Project and what we're doing here today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nicole and Ella. Great to sit down with you. So for the Amani Project, it's been inspired by a lot of the other work that I've done, but Kai Patanta is my co-founder. And what we really wanted to do with the Amani Project is create an archive, add to the archive of Black Canadian success stories from an arts perspective. We want to inspire emerging artists with the stories and the knowledge of these folks. We want to encourage those who are mid-career artists and educators who might be tired. They've been in the trenches doing the work, and the words of these folks will inspire them further. So we're recording these interviews. We're creating a written magazine that you can download all for free. We want to share this resource widely, not only again as an archive, but to inspire, give information, and pass down the knowledge through generations.
And how important that passing down of the information is to me. You've likely heard me say on more than one occasion when we've been in conversation just how many of us are discussing the importance of that, not having the information, the historical information that is happening on a daily basis just sits stagnant and static. So I think that is so key and so important, the work of the Amani Project. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Ella Cooper, we are going to you. Want to hear more? Tell us about the organization that you are a part of. And there are some things that I'm also excited about. So I'm going to get into that in just a moment. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited. Ella, please share with us.
So I'm the founding director of Black Women Film Canada. You're getting me at a really exciting time for our organization, and I happen to have a cold, and we get to archive me with a cold. What do you like? These things happen, but Black Women Film is the reason I'm here today, and Black Women Film is a not-for-profit now. We've been around for 5 years. It's 2022, and we support the development of Black women film professionals in both film and media. And we offer a range of programs. We're one of the only organizations of our kind that serves Black women in this way across Canada. And we offer programs that are transformative, that make space for Black women in the industry in a way that really puts us in positions of leadership. We create a really wonderful support network. We have a producer's residency going right now where we give people access to co-work space, a stipend that covers their time during our programs, as well as tailored mentorship. We do a Black Girls Film Camp, which teaches young Black women and Black girls how to make their first films. And a lot of them have gone on to win awards at film festivals. It's been really life-changing and in a very holistic space. We also offer advanced cinematography programs. We do partnered screenings, all this kind of stuff. But really, it's created by and for Black women, and it came from a place of me as a creator looking at what was missing in the field when I was coming in to the world, and taking that sense of what was missing and creating the network and the community that I wanted to see in the industry, and really serving the voice of Black Canadian women, and Black Canadian folks who are women identified, trans, and non binary.
Yes. And one of the things that I found was so interesting, Ella, just in really learning about the organization and following for as long as I have, is that exclamation point and what it means,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
That call to action, that it's this statement, this reminder that we are here, right? That
mm-hmm.
we are numerous, as it says, and that we are thriving. And we are making waves in this industry with our creativity, our drive, and our talent.
I
That's
love that you
power.
noticed that. I really love that you noticed that, because people often ask, "What is that exclamation mark?" and you pinpointed it. So thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely. And I think, thank you. Thank you. I think that when I read through that, every time I read through it, I'm so reminded of the fact that it's important for us to be reminded that, yes, we are indeed numerous, and that it's more than just the surviving, but it is the thriving as
Mm-hmm,
well. And so,
mm-hmm,
what I found with not only with Black women film, but also with the Imani Project, is that there are these wonderful parallels about the thriving, the contributions, and the archiving, which
mm-hmm.
is so powerful. So thank you for that, Ella. Timea, I want to come back to you and talk to you about how you got started in building the organization, and also what has inspired the work that you do.
Yeah, and so, a lot of the work that I've done inspired the Amani Project. I identify as a serial entrepreneur. So I start not only multiple projects, but sometimes multiple organizations at the same time, and help build them and spin them off to others. So I've worked with Toronto Dance Theatre. I work with Dance Immersion now. I've run my own dance fitness studio. I've worked at an arts council. So I have a lot of diverse experience in the arts. And what I've learned through meeting so many different people is that we need more archives like the Amani Project. So what inspired it was hearing from young artists. They would tell me their ideas. Oh, I'm going to do this project. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to start the first this. And I'd say, but that actually exists already. And so they just didn't know how many wonderful Black-led organizations and projects that we already have. So this will help, we hope, to alleviate that, and maybe those folks will want to join forces with the existing organizations so that we're working together to build. And then, of course, hearing from mid-career artists, senior artists who've been doing wonderful work, not always acknowledged. And so this is honoring them. It's honoring the Ellas. It's honoring the Nicoles. It's honoring all the folks as part of the Amani Project. Also, they're tired from all the systemic barriers they've hit, and they've gotten through and gotten around, but they're tired. And so really these words of wisdom that will come, from Ella and all the others, it inspires people to keep going. So I was inspired to create the Amani Project from all of those previous experiences, and wanting to honor and to spread the knowledge and keep it going.
Beautifully said, Tamia. I'm going to bring up something that I have shared before as I was listening to you chat, something that Tanya Williams shared with me and really stuck with me, about the fact that I said it earlier, every single conversation like this, we are literally making history
Mm.
in this very moment. We won't necessarily be able to repeat this moment with the three of us sitting here. So hearing you speak and share those words to me, there's so much great power in that. We are capturing history. What's so special about the Imani Project is the fact that we're speaking. It's accessing these multi-generational points of views and perspectives, and so it's very inspiring to hear what has inspired you to have these conversations as well. So thank you for that. Thank you. Does any of that resonate with you as well, Ella, as you think about what has inspired the work that you
Yeah,
do as well?
if you're watching this, to like gain as much information as you can, but sometimes just trust your gut intuition. Just trust that for some reason you're being called to do the thing. And if you're like because there's like sisterhood media, there's all these other folks that are different from Black women film, but are starting to serve more of the needs of our Black community, and that's so exciting. It's also really exciting to me that Amani is capturing that, because there's more and more of us doing this work, and what I love is that there's no longer just one organization that's talking on behalf of all organizations. And so for any young people watching this video, like, listen to the old guard, listen to us, but also know you've got insights that we don't even know yet. And it's so exciting when you follow that. So let us be catalysts to what you do, but don't feel like you have to come alongside. You can also just bounce off exactly from where you are from.
Yes, yes. And to me, I see you nodding.
Mhm.
Your thoughts.
Yeah, I think what Ella was saying at the end is really great, because when artists are starting out or entrepreneurs are starting out and they don't know what's there yet, sometimes they start reinventing the wheel. But if you know what's there, you can access people as mentors, or even just to provide some guidance at the beginning. But as Ella's saying, go in your own direction, go where you need to go. But I think we need both of those things. I think we need to know what's there to help each other, lean on each other, but then go in whatever directions we need. As Ella's saying, every community, every area needs something unique. And so you'll have your spark, but we can help each other through the way.
Absolutely. And you know what's standing out for me as both of you are sharing as well, and Ella, you pointed this out too. It's the connecting with one another, the older generation. And I'm starting to think about just again many of the conversations I've had where we're talking about the fact that let's talk to our elders before we don't have that opportunity again.
Hmm.
Right? Let's access those elders, because so many of them want to share their stories and the history, where they're coming from, what they've gone through, what they've passed down. And so, hearing the both of you share as well, I'm so mindful of the importance of connecting with our elders and accessing their history before we don't have an opportunity to hear their voices again.
I also feel we have a mentorship program going right now, and one of the pieces of wisdom that Leah Marin gave, who is on our board and has been an amazing mentor to Black women film, and she's a senior producer with CBC, as well as being just a Black woman mover and shaker. Leah was saying, when you're going to someone, have an idea of what you really want to know or ask. It ends up being so much more fruitful for everyone involved if you have a sense of the stories that you are like, the information that you really want to gain, the gaps of knowledge you're looking for, or simply, if you do want to sit back and just listen to just have that clarity when you're coming to someone. I think it can feel intimidating at times to reach out to people and say, hey, can I just talk to you? Can I hear more about this? People often say to me, wow, you're so busy. And I actually find it's a way of folks might think that I'm out of reach, but it's never the case. Like, I am pretty much available to almost anyone if they have clarity as to how they would like to connect with me. And I think it's the same when we're reaching out to those folks who are elders. If someone really shines to you and they feel like a real inspiration, to be able to tell them that, but then to have a bit of vulnerability in what you're hoping to gain, really helps direct the older person, or the person a mentor does not have to be someone older than you, but it really helps to direct that connection, versus when you just come, kind of like blank canvas and you're just like, talk to me. It's actually sometimes a less fruitful conversation than if you come with some questions, some curiosities to that engagement.
Right. That's so good. So good. Can I tap into that for just a moment?
Mm-hmm.
What about, and this question is to both of you, what about those moments where a mentee is seeking information, education, and wishing to really find out more about what it is that they want to tap into themselves? What if they don't know the questions that they want to ask of that potential mentor? Where do they go? What do they tap into?
You literally just said it. So you openly just said, I don't know. I'm trying to tap into these things. What should I do? That's a clear question, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
it's not, you don't have to know, but if you come with a question, it creates a starting point that's useful
Mhm.
for everybody. That's way more fruitful than if you're just like,
Yes.
"Hi, how many kids do you have?" Like
Right.
that. So just that focus, that's a piece of vulnerability to say, "I don't really know, but you really inspire me. Could we please sit down and talk? I'd love to hear more about how you did XYZ." You know?
Right. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And your thoughts, Tamia?
Yeah, and then the mentor, the potential mentor knows where to begin. You have to know where to begin when someone comes to you, and if it is, I don't know, I just don't know, I really don't know, but I'm inspired by your work. I've sat down with people in that way. Then I know where we're starting from. I know where we can go. And so you don't have to have, a clear list of questions, but it's that, as Ella's saying, that direct honesty, the vulnerability to say, just let them know where you are in your journey. That's a clear starting point for the mentor.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Highly, highly agree. And it gives that mentor an opportunity to really dissect, okay, well, the fact that you've come so clearly saying, I don't even know where I'm at is an opportunity for them to still have an idea as to what that question is.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. Well, speaking of mentors, I know that when I began my career as a little one, well, maybe a little older than a little one, that I needed a lot of support. I needed a lot of guidance in so many different ways. And so, to you, Tamia, what support did you need in order to get the Amani Project up and off the ground? And I even want to say this as well, not just for the company, but for yourself as an individual, getting started and getting this force to move forward. What support did you need?
Yeah, well, going back to all of that previous experience that sort of inspired the Amani Project, like many people, I used to do everything myself when I was starting something. So I was doing every role. Starting out that can work because you don't have to pay anybody else. You can work all those hours, but it's not sustainable, of course, for when you want to build something and when you want it to be sustainable. For the Amani Project, that meant my first step was finding a partner who I trusted, and could be others you need to work with whom you trust. And they might not be able to stay with you through the whole journey. But that was my first step. Who else can I work with? Who else can fill in gaps, things that I don't know, things that I don't have? And so Kai Patanta was the person I ended up working with for the Amani Project. But for every project I've done in my later years, it's finding the right people to work with, even if it's just one that you can start off with.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. From there, though, there's, of course, that helps you gather different resources. But before you start gathering resources, what really helped me is writing what is sometimes called a case for support. It's really a very brief piece of writing that tells you, what are you doing? Why do you want to do it? Who is it going to help? What is special about it? What do you need? You sort of write that down, and everything you do comes from that. It could be reaching out to other artists to collaborate with you, it could be reaching out to funders, it could be reaching out for sponsors, spaces to support your work, but it all generates from this case for support that you've written. It's a cohesive sort of idea. Everything's written and cohesive and tight. And so writing that really helped go forward. We used that for generating resources. We used it to bring artists into the project. So it was a great starting point from there. So that really helped us get this particular project off the ground. And then, of course, you work to gather those resources. You work to bring in folks like yourself, like Amber, who's managing the StreamYard behind the scenes, and then the artists you want to profile, like Ella and others. But it all came from that, what is it we really want to do? Why are we doing it? Who is it going to help? And what do we need? And then building from there.
Yes. And one of the things I'm thinking about to me as you're sharing is knowing the right people to pick for your team, the right people to invite into your team, because just because someone is fantastic at what they do, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are the right fit for the team and are going to align with the team that you are moving forward. So I love what you've just said there. And it's also about that critical thinking of considering who can I work well with? Who can help to drive this mission forward? But choosing the right individuals who can align with what you wish to drive forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tamia. Your thoughts, Ella. Curious to know the same about you. What supports did you need to get started, as well as perhaps even later as you started to build the organization? What did support look like for you?
Hmm. So I began with sort of going backwards a little bit in time, but I reached out to an organization who was already established to be a name on a grant. So I wanted to do a Black Girls Film Camp, and I reached out to some folks might know the NIA Center. And so I reached out to the NIA Center, and I reached out to another organization who I won't name right now, and to support our first Black Girls Film Camp. And but I designed it. I brought all the pieces together. Four black girls. It was all in nature, holistic. There's yoga. There's filmmaking. It was just like it was a dream. And I also made a point of making it not burning out the staff. A lot of these models that are still out there, folks at the end are just toast. We're starting early days, and I don't believe in that. I actually think that you should feel balanced and happy at the end of a project. So we had healthier hours, all this kind of stuff. But thankfully, those supports were huge, and they made me realize that I wanted to create a professional network. So it was funny that I started from a youth focus, and then I realized that we didn't have that kind of support, like holistic support, industry level network for Black women. And but I had learned from that model that unfortunately the people who I partnered with were trying to actually own the thing that I had created, and thankfully I caught it. But it created unfortunately some bad energy there, and it was not a good partnership because I didn't realize that in enlisting them they thought that they would then own what I created, but I wanted to create something that would then become run by and for Black women, and so I had to fight to hold on to that. And simultaneously, I said, you know what? There's no fight here. I'm going to start Black Women Film. We're going to do this leadership program, and I will not be aligning with anyone in this way again. We will make sure that we bring folks on to support us, but they understand that we are running it. And so that after that, we brought on the CBC, NFB. TIFF has been a huge a venue partner and festival partner through all our programs, but at no point have they asked to own anything that we do or to co-own. And I think that's really important, is that it's just to know what you're signing up for. It's not a bad thing to have sponsors and co-sponsorships and lots of partners, but for everyone to understand that what you are creating is yours, and not mine, because Black Women Film is not the Ella Show. This is very much as we grew from a collective, we grew from a leadership program to a collective, and to a not-for-profit. And all along the way, it's really about keeping this community together in the fold, for them weighing in and whatnot. But so yeah, so the supports were really that I wanted us at a really high industry level. I wanted people to have access. I wanted us to be in spaces where there's a lack of Black representation. So I noticed that there was a lot of community driven programs, but not industry level at that time. And so, yeah, so it was really a case of reaching out to broadcasters, large industry people to be there, as, to open the door, to give us space, access to speakers, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, but I did all the fundraising and grant writing. And from the beginning, we also really made a point of paying people properly. Mm. And that is something that everyone can budget for when you're writing a grant. Of course, if you don't have the funds, beg, borrow, steal, crowdfund, all that kind of stuff. No stealing, but but yeah, it was really, I learned my lesson from the first go at it. I also, one of the things that's really important for folks to remember is always read contracts. And thankfully, I did read the contract. But read your contract and know that you are not bound by any contract until you sign it. And so just those little details, it was such positive learning, to now, as we go into our fifth year, we really continue to be this model of being community centered and really in service to our community and Black women and Black voices.
Excellent, Ella. What stands out for me as you were sharing there is the structure of individuals that are a part of the team. Because sometimes when we're building organizations, we're building companies, a lot of times what I'm asked often by mentees is who is supposed to be part of the team? Am I supposed to have an administrator? Am I supposed to have a marketing director, et cetera? And so, as you were sharing and talking about that structure and ensuring that there's actually time to allow yourself to feel joy at the end of the day, I'm curious to know, and this question is for both of you, what types of roles, just out of curiosity, should we be fitting within our organizations? For those who are watching and listening today, who should we be considering? Should we have, outside of the marketing directors, the social media, et cetera, who are we forgetting when we're thinking about adding individuals to the team to ensure that our care is going to be served during the process, but also the safety of our companies as well?
I would say that it really depends on the individual. So if you're a founder, you need to look at what your strengths are and what you know are your weaknesses are. And to not wait until you think you're ready to get that person, but really fold that into your mindset, to like I know what I'm really good at, and I know what I can do if I push, and then I know what I'm actually probably really like it's better if I give this to someone else. But it's hard in the beginning to do that because you feel like you might not have the funds. It can be hard to say, I'm not good at this, because people might think, well, if you're an executive director, you've got to be able to do these things. But the one thing I love about film is that there's such clear rules and it sets the whole production up for success. And it's the same with any project. The more that you lean on your strength and you can really tease out the strengths of other people, even if everyone's in a volunteer capacity, but you let them shine where they're actually like really there, that's where their joy is, and it's not your joy. And or whatever, you can also have co-joy too, but you don't need lawyers and whatnot at all. It's just more allies, people with that knowledge to advise you, and you don't need marketing directors, all that kind of stuff. What you need is like a team that can hit the things you need to have hit essentially to get that job done, to get that project done. I mean, if I'm talking to people who are really starting not for profits, that's a different story. But like, we've done strategic planning, and prior to that, we would sit down with our advisory. But I've also had to do my own self-reflection to go, hey, like, I struggle with these things. I'm great at these things. Stop trying to do those things that you struggle with. Like, call in folks to really allow you to shine, and then boost them so they can shine in that area that they're really strong at. I know that's sort of vague, but there's an assumption when we're starting organizations that we have to have all these traditional roles. And you have to remember that it is a very patriarchal, it can be a very systemic way of working that can be quite limiting. And there are exciting new ways to work that still lead to success.
I'm so glad that you shared that, because I feel like in the many times that I've been asked by individuals that I've mentored, that what you've just said allows for the release. Because a lot of times what I hear is, it's stressful, Nicole, to start an organization or company because I don't have the bodies to be able to fit within these roles. I don't have the financing as well to fit within these roles. And so I really believe that what you've said just allows for a different way of thinking when approaching the building of organizations. And it allows for some care in there for ourselves as well, to be able to move forward knowing I don't have to set it up in the same way that we consider systems to be set up. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Do you have thoughts, Timea, with regards to that share?
Yeah, that very same answer. I think that people get bogged down by that. Yes, I need the lawyer, I need the finance person, I need the this, I need the that. Even if you have a board of directors, it doesn't have to run the way the colonial system has even taught you it needs to run. You need to think about what you need, what you want to do, and fill in the pieces from there. And that self reflection is the key. One of the things that has helped me and those I know get the farthest is self education on the self. If you not only know what your strengths are, and as Ella's saying, but accept your limitations, not just know them, accept them, then you will be able to, from there, bring in the pieces that you need at any given time during your project or during building your organization. But you can't do that well when you think, yeah, I can either do everything or not even know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So it really starts from that knowledge and from that acceptance. And that can come through reading, can come through counseling, it can come through meditation, all sorts of different ways for that self-reflection that not only helps build, it not only helps you fill in the gaps and bring in the right pieces, it helps with that self-care. It helps make sure you're not trying to do everything. Make sure you're not trying to be something you're not, which can lead to personal pain. It can help you grow, because then you think, okay, maybe this person moved on, but you know what pieces to fill in. You know how to create the community, and then everybody feels better. Everybody feels stronger because they're contributing what their strengths are, and you're working with your strengths. Once in a while, of course, you're going to have to fill in gaps. You know you're not so good at that, but you had to jump in here or there. That's everybody. That's everywhere. That's part of being a team. And people have things happen in their personal lives. But if you've done that self-reflection, that self-education, you know yourself, you accept yourself, and you know and accept those things in others. That's how you build a team. That's how you build a community. That's how you build an organization. And it doesn't necessarily mean you need specific roles.
Timea, thank you for that. And as you're talking about the self reflection piece as well, I want to come to you to talk about your self reflection as you look back on the organization, what you've built so far. What are you most proud of?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because I know all of us, we all have sort of these achievements we can check off. But for me, what I've been most proud of, maybe because it's been the most difficult, is that no matter how I was treated, whatever barriers I faced, I feel like I mostly managed to walk with kindness and generosity to my community, and to always bring that self-discipline forward, and a high standard of personal care, and a high standard of personal performance and how I treat others. And it's not always easy. It is just damn hard sometimes with what gets thrown at you,
Yeah.
whether it's systemic barriers, whether it's lateral violence we do against one another, whether it's just day-to-day life that can get hard. I am very proud of the work I've done to be able to treat others with kindness and generosity, and to keep bringing my best to every situation.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot right now and tell you that you've done so just beautifully. The AMANI Project has created, with both you and Kai, a space where there's an opportunity to feel safe. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, safe enough to be able to share and move forward as my authentic self. And so I thank you for that. You have definitely, I can attest to the fact that you definitely have done so through this organization. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you. And I just wanted to say as well that with that, when you carry yourself that way, yes, it can inspire others, but it's really important. It's important for your self-care as well, and for your success for whatever you're doing. Because to be able to do that, to be able to walk with that generosity and kindness through adversity, again, it requires that self-care. It requires that space to be able to feel joy within your work that has to be created that way. Your work, your project, your organization will only be as successful and long lasting as your health is.
Yes.
And so really taking care of that is what helps that.
Oh, yes. We've got to have another conversation on self care as well. That's for part 2 of this conversation. Beautifully said, Timea. Your thoughts, Ella, as you think about, as you reflect back on what you're most proud of, and perhaps even the greatest success that you think of. when it comes to your organization and/or you, Ella?
um, yeah, it's funny. I know that I'll have another answer after I get off this call, but I'm proudest of being a single mom by choice, and I'm proudest of my daughter Eden, who is 3 years old right now, and the way that I have shown up as a mom, but I've also shown up for myself. And I'm proud that through motherhood, which has not always been easy and has been hella challenging during a pandemic, that I have still continued to be really creative in my offerings, both at home and in my professional life. I am really proud that I am now championing mothers in the industry. We did a mothering in the industry symposium that was really centering, the realities of what it means to be a parent, as well as doing this work. And I'm also on the steering committee of another group that's dedicated to that. I feel really proud that through the pandemic and throughout this whole time that Black Women Film has been going, that I continue to bring people together in really beautiful ways, in building this sense of sisterhood and support, where our alumni continues to work with each other. They've gone on to win awards on stuff that they've workshopped in our spaces. And we are a catalyst, like 100% a catalyst, where I get folks in the room and then they go on to just do amazing things together just because of that connection. And and through that, I have, now we're set up in such a way that we can actually center mothers in our work. We start we start and end at a time that makes it possible for us to be present for our kids, but also really dive in and be proud of the work that we're doing. And simultaneously, at the same time, I'm still honoring my creative voice. I think the pandemic was a time that I realized that I wanted to really let myself soar more as an artist, and really make space for that too. And so I'm proud of my work now as a multidisciplinary artist and as a director of a new kids show, and just those kind of pieces as well. And that you can start a not-for-profit, you can start a new initiative, but it can still be in service to everything else that you're passionate about. You don't have to give every ounce of yourself to that. And that's not something you're taught. Most people will try to make you believe that you need to put every ounce of yourself into the thing. And like Timea was saying, it doesn't actually serve anyone. Your health is paramount. And I guess where I'm thankful is that because I am still directing the ship for now, that I can actually create an environment that is conducive and is healthy, and where people can ask for breaks when they need it and all that kind of stuff. And we also, yeah, I'm proud of the awards that we've won and the recognition that we've got in the industry. But most of all, that I've managed to like keep it going in the early stages of motherhood. It's just like, yeah, I want an award for that, to be totally honest.
Yes. Me too. Let's do it.
So yeah, I think the thing is, before you become a parent, you just don't know. And it's fine that you care, but I just did not realize in the moments where I didn't put a budget line for childcare for people, where I didn't consider that, like where it's just, there's all these little things. And so I'm thankful that I can take also personal experience, but then let that be a way of creating better support for the community that I'm serving.
Well, I've got to tell you, you are an inspiration, both of you, really, such a wonderful inspiration, Ella. And as you were sharing, how beautifully you as well have brought folks together, so beautifully facilitated, and knowing that your own personal experience has inspired a lot of that work, I think allows for individuals to move forward with a greater level of trust when they're connecting with you and working with you, because they know that you're coming from a place of understanding because you've been there, and especially when you're talking about mothers, for example. Yeah, so I thank you. I thank you for what you do. in community. Beautifully shared. And I know that we're coming to a close, but wow, do I want to hold on to the both of you for the rest of the day, but I know that that's not possible. But I want to ask you before you go words of wisdom. There's so much that you have already shared with us today. Words of wisdom for those individuals that are listening, watching today, taking in today, those who are wanting to start new arts or educational ventures. What would your share be for them? Timea, I'll go to you first.
So, words of wisdom that I would share with those coming up. I mean, there's so many, there's a long list, but I really want to pick up on some of the shares that Ella just made. And really, it's that the difference between under resourced organizations or those that struggle, but they keep going, they thrive in the future, and those that go under is really one thing. And it's really how the leadership treated other people. And if you were able to dig into the stories of different organizations, you would often find that those that went under often did so because the leadership did not treat others with generosity, kindness, or create a nurturing environment. So if you're setting up a new project or a new organization, it's really thinking about how you're going to value other people. It's the people you work with. Did you create mentorship opportunities for them? Did you see them, their strengths, and allow them to play to those strengths in your work? Did you create learning environments for people? Did you value people? Did you give them credit? That is such a big thing. If you're working in an under resourced or a new venture, which is often under resourced at the beginning, if you're working in that circumstance, it is not sustainable to also work there when you're not receiving credit for the contributions that you're making. So it's giving people the credit to what they are contributing to your project and to your organization. And you'll find that organizations that didn't do that, that created more negative or challenging environments, did not continue to thrive. They couldn't. Because even when people leave your organization, and they will for whatever reason, if you've treated them with kindness, generosity, and created that nurturing environment, they will walk on as allies. So they're out there in the world. They will recommend you. They will recommend others to work with your organization if you treated them with kindness. But they can't do so when they weren't valued, when their contributions weren't valued, or when they were working in a challenging or negative environment. So I would say that always to look at that, what you're building. Is it nurturing? Is it valuing? And that includes everybody from artists to administrators, to receptionists, to technicians, to the people who clean the spaces that you're working in. Everybody is of equal value. Everybody is needed to get your work done. And treating them so will make your work last into the future.
Ah, yes, the equally valued and the centering of care. Timea, thank you for that share. Thank you. So powerfully shared. Appreciate you. Ella, your thoughts, words of wisdom for those starting or growing new arts or education ventures. What is your last share today?
People starting new arts or education ventures. What are my words of wisdom? Share your journey is what I'll say. I have been so surprised that my little Instagram, where I don't actually share professionally half the time, literally just sharing my life and then occasional things, you'd be like, oh yeah, and I'm doing this. I do not promote myself properly as an artist. People don't know half the stuff that I'm doing or showing, and I don't ever tell them. And um, that's terrible, you would think. And yet it's okay. Like, I literally just share authentically on Instagram. And Black Women Film also shares authentically whenever we have a program and we don't actually engage on social media when we're not offering anything in that moment. But we share our journey as best we can. And it calls people in and it keeps people thinking about you and what you offer and the energy you're putting out in the world. And so there are many other pieces like you're never going to get everything right and the only way to know is to try. Sometimes you're going to just have the most incredible synergies with people. Other instances you'll learn and improve. um, but if you choose to share your journey, well, a lot of folks don't always feel comfortable with that, it calls people in to better understand who you are. And I recommend that you're sharing in a way that isn't hiding behind something that is so branded we can't see you anymore, um, but that you're actually inviting people into your process. And so, yeah, I think that I literally do not do all the things I could do on social media. I do not do the level of self promotion that I could. But even in the amount that I do, when I share authentically, it has led to like getting to animate for CBC Reads because I started sharing my illustration or putting photos up there, and I've had multiple works being shown, or educational workshops because I post that, oh, this is coming or something in the works. Um, I love that initially Timea talked about being like a multifaceted entrepreneur and recognize that it's actually okay to have many things on the go. And it's not important for people to understand you, but that you understand what you're putting out there in the world. And so, yeah, I would say share your journey because that will entice people. And don't just do it once when you want them to come out for the thing. Um, Share what's actually going on behind the scenes, all the little pieces, so that they can participate, even if it's at a distance to begin with.
Ah, yes. As we are closing, you are speaking to my heart right now. The sharing of the journey and also the knowing that we're not always going to get everything right. And I so appreciate that share because I think about when I reflect back on how much perfectionism was a big part
Mm.
of my life when I started out as a professional and thinking that, everything's got to be just right. And you soon learn and grow, or at least I really did learn and grow of really recognizing that it's okay that I'm not always going to get everything right. So thank you for that critical share. And thank
I,
you to both,
I wanted to add one thing.
of
I
course.
realized that the one piece that has really served me is I always wanted folks to hire Ella, like not a version of me, not the, like a crafted or the perfect version of me, but like to get a sense of like, oh, if you're calling Ella, you're actually looking for Ella, and that I could show up as me. And it might sound silly, but it's so refreshing when the more you can be honest about who you are. And while I wish I could be perfect, I'm not. Um, but that release of perfectionism and giving yourself permission to step forward as you are, but really remember that in the end, it's not about you. Like everyone is doing that. Everyone's just trying to show up together. Yeah, all I would say is that the more that you can just show up as you, the better, because that invites everyone else to do the same.
Ah, yes. What a powerful way to close. Thank you, Ella. Tamia, I thank you as well. We made history today in this wonderful conversation. What a joy and an honor to share space with both of you. Timea Wharton-Suri, thank you for all that you do. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Nicole and Ella.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you to you, Ella, for all that you do as well. Such a joy. And thank you to all of you for joining us today at the AMANI Project. Be sure to check out the AMANI Project to hear continued conversations, the conversations that we are having with individuals who are sharing wisdom as well. We invite you to continue to share space with us. I'm Nicole Inica Hamilton. It's been a pleasure to sit down with you. This is the AMANI Project. Bye for now.